You're given a large integer represented as an integer array digits where each digits with index I is the ith digit of the integer. The digits are ordered from most significant to least significant in left to right order. The large integer does not contain any leading zeros. Increment the large integer by 1 and return the resulting array of digits. Input 1, 2, 3. Output is 1, 2, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 2. Questions. Seems pretty straightforward. I can't imagine what kind of questions would be relevant here. Edge cases? What could be an edge case? Like, this is different, carrying over the 9, but I don't think I would call that a edge case. Approach. So, I feel like the only thing that matters is the whole 9 becoming potentially 10, and then you might have to deal with the logic of if it's, let's say, a bunch of 9s, right? This, and you increment 1, then you have to change everything that is in front of it, 1 up them, basically. So I guess what I'm unsure about is in a case like this where you increment it by 1 and all of a sudden you have to add 1 digit, right? It would become, so like to keep it simple, this would become 1000. And isn't that a problem? Because arrays are immutable, and therefore, how do we allocate the extra digit? Are we just sitting happy with 100 instead of 1000? I think that's my question slash concern with this problem. So, what do we do about this? My instinct is guiding me to say that we go first to the very last digit of this integer array called digits, and then increment it by 1. Go to the last digit and increment by 1. If the last digit is 9, then do something. And what is this something? Instead of, because I don't know if we are doing like a math formula. So let's start with the first one. I'm wondering if the conditional operator if has to come first, or if we add and then deal with it after. The way we would increment is length minus 1. That would be the last index plus 1. And I want to say that we use if statement first is equal to 0, then is 0, and then while I is equal to digits dot length, while is greater than 0, and then if it is the very first, if I is equal to, and then we have to like increment the index. If I is equal to, or if index is equal to 0. So the idea is that when we increment the last index by 1, and that becomes 10, we just set that digit to 0, go through the previous numbers, previous digits, and check to make sure that if they're all 9s, then we increment it by 1. But I don't think I wrote anything to just increment it by 1. Else, so if they were not gonna add up to 10 and cause a carryover, then that's when we just add it and leave it at that. Line 4, name I does not exist. I don't know why I keep making those mistakes. Let's see. So I is 1. If the digits length, okay, minus 1. So if we add 1 to this, it would be 10. Then, so like that's the thing I'm like unsure about. How do we add another element to this array if arrays are immutable? Or can we append? Does that mean I have to like create a new one? I would assume so. That's like the only way we do this. But there needs to be a condition. Make sure that we either have to increase, and I think it would go here if all digits are nines, then add unsure how to address edge case of in need to increase the array size. Okay, identify the correct algorithm direction. Correctly handles the simple case. Recognize the hard edge case even if you didn't solve it. The while loop condition is wrong. It never. Are you serious? After zeroing the last digit, logic wise, it's just buggy. Actually, they use a for loop. So if they're smaller than 9, just add and then return digits. Makes sense, very clean. This is basically else, so the last digit becomes 0, and that would continue for all the digits that contains 9. Otherwise, if all digits were 9, then digits.length, and then you would have to create a new array. Number 66 plus 1 was today's problem. Fully solve the problem correctly. Kind of find the root cause. I think one of them was definitely the logic being a little too complicated. I think compared to the solution that we have here. One thing that I need to get better with is when the logic lets you deal with a lot of things without you having to handpick the result. If you've, noticed that if I feel like I'm doing too much, it probably means that the logic is too verbose, too wordy. I feel like I was thinking in the right direction, but I didn't know how to write a proper logic that can eloquently deal with the situation. Instead of saying, every time this happens, do this, versus do this and then do that. Like, as long as the flow of the logic is smooth, I feel like you don't have to spoon feed every instruction. And I think that's the stage I'm at where I have to learn the neat ways you can logic things out so that you don't have to be doing all this stuff where I'm like confusing myself with different indexes and with different kind of loop logics. Looking back, I think the array resizing was kind of implied that you just make a new array when they say the result should be an array that's bigger than the original. So, note to self, look at the output, and if they do it, then just do it without asking too much. I know I tried this long time ago in Python. It's interesting to see your past attempts for sure, especially in a different language. But yeah, as always, appreciate any feedback or any suggestions. Bye.